Hello, everybody. My name is Alexey Krabrov. I'm the founder and organizer of Bay.Area.AI, which is the most established, longest-running, deep technical meetup on AI in the Bay Area and the world. We're around for 10 years. We've been NLP, KDD, machine learning, now AI. And we do it from location, GitHub headquarters. And we have like top AI developers coming to learn about interesting projects. And I call it DSPy, you can tell me what you call it. It's been top of mind. I discovered Omar Khattab, who created DSPy, student of Matei Zacharia. We launched the very first Spark meetup when I found Spark. In 2012, we launched with Matei at SF Scala, SF Spark. So then, I've seen Omar and he spoke at our conference, Scale by the Bay. And then now Omar told me he wants more folks working for DSPy to talk about it. And he recommended Michael as one of the top developers. And Michael is a master's student in Stanford.
That's correct.
So Michael, tell us, how did you get to do DSPy, and what made you, what's fun about it, and how come you made one of the key components of it?
Yeah, for sure. So I got involved with, I call it DSPy. I think any pronunciation kind of works, but I got involved with DSPy when I got started at Stanford. So about a year ago, I was taking a class on meta learning, and one of the projects that we decided we wanted to work on was prompt optimization. And I had just seen a talk from Omar at the NLP group about DSPy and how he was working on especially few-shot bootstrapping optimization for language model programs in DSPy. So I was working with somebody named Krista on this project. We were just both students in this class. And I reached out to Omar and said, we want to work on prompt optimization. And he said, this is maybe a next step for DSPy. So maybe we can collaborate on something here. And immediately we got to work on brainstorming. And that's how we started making something called the CoPro optimizer, which has now been kind of deprecated in favor of the MIPRO optimizer. And that's what the talk will be on today, is our MIPRO optimizer, which is the state-of-the-art optimizer for language model programs in DSPy. And so some of the stuff I'm really excited about with DSPy, I think it's such an amazing framework for just considering what you should sort of conceptualize for a language model program. So the idea that you can break it into your structure of your program into inputs, a metric, and the program itself, and then optimize the entire system end to end. I think having that abstraction removes all of the confusion about what should I optimize? Is it the weights? Is it the prompts? And what different data do I need to collect? And how do I actually optimize this? Do I need a gradient signal? DSPy actually can kind of take all of that confusion and allow you to just write a program that solves the task that you want to solve and optimize it for you in the best way possible. So you have our prompt optimizers, you have weight optimizers, and we're working on RL-based optimizers too. So I think that just the abstraction itself is really cool, and it's empowering people to do really amazing things with language models that you can't do with just a single language model. You have to build a system, a compound system.
Awesome. It's interesting, right? I was spanning this academic and industry world. I did a few moves back and forth. Did my PhD in computer science at the University of Pennsylvania, went back and forth to industry, and finally went back, to Silicon Valley. So I kind of understand how it works, right? Academics live in their own world, and they really isolate themselves with very smart people, and they stew in their own kind of environment. And so you're kind of doing this, but you bring this open source to the world, right? The people start doing stuff with it, and they're not at Stanford, right? And some of them don't know basics of this. So I wonder, when you do you interact with the usual developers or the regular folk, and does it inform how you build DSPy? Yeah,
definitely. So one thing I'll say that's amazing about DSPy is the community that's formed around it, and I have to attribute that to Omar. He does an amazing job building the community, actively involved in the Discord. Obviously on X, he's very well presented.
Late interaction.
Yes, at late interaction. So I think I get a lot of experience interacting with people outside of academia because of that. And actually, I've been very fortunate this summer. I'm interning at Snowflake, so I'm working with folks at Snowflake who are also using DSPy, so I'm getting that perspective. A bunch of startups reach out and ask, we're implementing this in DSPy, how can we do that? And I think it actually gives me a great perspective too, stepping out of academia a bit and seeing how people are actually building language model systems in industry, and how can we optimize those. And one thing that we're working on right now is actually a sort of benchmark of language model programs and how people are actually using them in industry, because we want to show that our optimizers work in real world settings. So I'd love for more people to reach out. If you're using DSPy, let me know how you're using it, because we might add your task to our benchmark and show like which optimizer, which language model is best for this particular task.
Fantastic. I mean, it makes me very happy because, first of all, I know a bunch of folks at Snowflake. A lot of my friends went to work there, right? It's a big company, like a lot of developers in all areas. So now, I'm AI community architect Neo4j, which is the category-defined graph database. And I don't know anything yet about applying DSPy to graph databases, but I wonder if you think that we can add that to your stable of tasks, right? Because you see relationally to data lakes. Do you think the graph databases make a good use case for DSPy?
I think that would be a great use case. Actually, I think DSPy started off with Omar has this background in retrieval augmented generation and retrieval as a whole. And so a lot of the initial implementations in DSPy were for optimizing RAG systems end to end. And I think plugging in a graph database instead of a relational database or instead of a Colbert index, or I think that is a really cool way to see potentially. Now we typically optimize the language model parts of the RAG pipeline, so like rewriting your query, rewriting the generation step. But I think plugging that in with graph databases is like a really interesting use case.
Yeah. So the interesting thing I'm gonna show a little bit in my talk on GraphRag today, that we in addition to textual prompt, obviously we build a knowledge graph on the fly, or like from document collection, and so we can actually add Cypher queries. So Cypher is a graph query language which Neo4j uses. So very similar to SQL, right? So can you optimize a SQL query in addition to the textual prompt?
Yes, we can optimize that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So then we probably can figure out how to plug in Cypher instead of SQL.
Sure, exactly.
Which is now also a standard called GQL, right? Almost. Replace one letter, you have a different query language. Fantastic. So, and one more question about DevRel, and then I'll just ask you a fun question. We really have a lot of developers here, and so we really need to figure out, right, how do we kind of help them learn all of this? So like this overwhelming amount of information. Academia is a machine optimized for knowledge consumption. You drink from the higher fire hose, you read papers, you have people who do this together. Like this, you have special skills, superpowers. You know how to kind of very quickly triage information, right? A lot of developers do not do this. It may be difficult to them. Like, what advice do you have for developers who want to come into DSPy? Do they need to read papers? Can they just take code and play with this? Like, can they take your kind of examples? What's a good entry point? How they can start learning and incrementally learn more and feel happy?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And we're working on even more documentation for DSPy. I think the best way to get started right now is go to the repository, and we have an examples folder where we have collab notebooks about here's how you use the MIPRO optimizer, here's how you use assertions, and here's how you do fine tuning in DSPy. And just go through those notebooks. They're already set up to work out of the box in Google Colab. So that's a great way. And I think watching talks like the one I'm going to give today will give the insights into how MIPRO works behind the scenes and what DSPy is actually doing to optimize your language model program. So I think just watching this video, doing the collabs, that's the best way to get started.
Fantastic. Well, and last question, tell us some fun fact about yourself. What do you like to do for fun?
Yeah. So a fun fact about me is I have, I guess I would say 3 different licenses. So I have my driver's license, that's obvious. But I also have a boating license in Florida because I wanted to drive a jet ski. So I took the course at the age I wanted to. I had to take the course. And I also have my scuba diving license, which is something I like to do for fun. Although the water's very cold out here in the Bay, so I don't get to do it too often. Well,
fantastic. So you're like a very licensed guy. And so, you're doing your master's, so you're going in the industry. So we wish you, luck, and really looking forward to learn from you.
Amazing.
Looking forward to your talk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Cheers.